and welcome to the first episode of Did You Fall from the Christmas Tree? That's my fake accent, that's not how I speak. This is your host Mahima Mohan, and first of all, if you're listening to this, congratulations for being alive. I hope you're all doing good. I hope you're not hungry. If you're hungry, please go grab some snacks so you can crunch on it, because today in this episode, I'm going to unfold a few interesting things. So keep listening. So basically, when I look at this phase as a calm and rational person, lockdown is definitely a situation in which I can truly take stock of the things I have taken granted in my professional or personal life before Corona. For example, my annoying habit of thinking out too loud, the howling of dogs. I used to listen to this back then, but now it's truly hilarious and entertaining. And also, I've learned new things, like I learned to cook, I learned to talk to nature, which I think is fascinating, but I'm sure that people are going to get bored of my enthusiastic creations very soon. So today I'm going to talk about something that's right up my alley: mental health. But before I dive into it, let me give you a brief disclaimer that I am not a mental health expert. And if you really want to learn more about depression or anxiety disorders or OCD or anything of that, or anything related to mental health, you can look up the website of WHO, which is the World Health Organization, or you could probably watch Republic TV as well. So during this phase, I learned that connection and communication could be a blessing and a curse at the same time. When I talk about connection, I'm not definitely talking about Wi Fi connection, I'm talking about personal connection. See, I'll tell you, conversation is absolutely enduring. There's no doubt about that, but I should be in a mood for communication. Hence, always being available, because we cannot go anywhere or we cannot head out, could be a little overwhelming for few of us. Plus, it has been very difficult for me to, distance myself from my office, because it's just 5 meters away from my bedroom. Because right now, work and free time is not even delineated anymore by a commute, right? And another part of this phase, it's, I don't know what to call it, but social media is what people call it. It has been an absolute riot, or maybe I'll call it a mayhem. See, I absolutely love watching people doing kind community spirited things, but I also hate watching bored people bitch at each other or get into a verbose competition about who is depressed and who is not depressed. Is it a murder or a suicide? Was Sushant Singh diagnosed with depression? Was Sushant Singh a human? Okay. God, this was so embarrassing. I don't know if they felt embarrassed about it themselves, but for me, it was quite embarrassing to even listen to it, to listen to Indians talking such nonsense. One such post I happened to see on social media was a video that Times Now posted on their page that said, Times Now has received two videos of Sushant Singh where there is no sign of depression on his face, it seems. Like, the weirdest thing that I noticed is the fact that these TV anchors, overnight, they turned into studio psychiatrists, and to great pain, to debunk the slightest possibility that SSR might have had depression. I'm not going to call them studio psychiatrists anymore, because it's an insult to the psychiatrist. Okay? I'm going to call them TV pundits. Okay? Also, these TV pundits refuse to answer on how SSR's reputation will be affected by the fact that he might have had depression, as if it's something to be ashamed of. On the other hand, if you look at the statistics, the rising figures for death by suicide involving people thrown to the margins of our society, like our farmers, our migrant workers, daily wagers, even young women, students, they're not even covered by any news networks. At least I have not seen them. I'm not sure. I'm sure most of y'all don't know who Rohit Vemula is. If you have time, please Google who Rohit Vemula is, because I'm sure the TV networks that you guys watch must not have shown it to you. But it's one of the names that still haunts me personally. But these situations are not hot enough or sexy enough for the attention of our predatory television networks. Is it because there was no young women involved to satisfy the misogynistic consigns of Republic? Okay, wait. There's a word for this in English. It's called necrophilia. You can Google it, or if you have a dictionary, I would prefer Oxford Dictionary. If you have it, please look up. And once you get the meaning, the next time you see Arnab Goswami or Navika Kumar, remember this word. It reveals what they do. Okay? Let me first of all tell you all that the media's role is to witness, to interpret, to report, and its role is not to act as an oracle or a Wikipedia. Okay? They should be humble enough to let the mental health experts, speak about something as sensitive as mental health. And if they actually do possess face reading skills, I would actually suggest them to audition to be some face readers for Seema Taparia's season 2 of Indian matchmaking, so that they at least try to bring people together rather than engaging in tearing lives apart. You know what I mean? But anyways, a day after Sushant's death, Kangana Ranaut, ma'am, she posted a video on Instagram in which she completely rubbished the idea that an engineering entrance exam rank holder could have had such a weak mind that he would commit suicide. First of all, ma'am, uh, living with depression is not a cakewalk. So the assumption that someone is weak is extremely discouraging to those who actually live with it, because it only multiplies the pressure to hide feelings and struggles rather than coming out and talking about it. There are different phases of depression, where some people are really good at hiding it and others are just, they have high functioning depression and they handle it pretty well. While some struggle more visibly, and you could just go years without being aware of it also. I personally lived with depression for quite few years, and the way I handle it is quite interesting. Initially, I did not know what mental illness is. As in, if someone told me they're depressed, I would ask, why? Your dad yelled at you? See, I was this ignorant. I was way too ignorant about it until I was diagnosed. But I was partly happy about it. Happy about the fact that now I have something that everyone has. Now, even I can say that I'm depressed or I have anxiety disorders. uh, you know, Honestly, now I have a thing to talk about. But jokes apart, I was petrified. So I spoke to professionals, a couple of professionals, and I realized that depression has to do with a chemical called serotonin that our body produces, which is responsible for regulating our moods and emotions. If serotonin levels are balanced, then your brain and your mind will be healthy. If the levels are quite messed up, then your mind will be your worst enemy. Like every day will seem like a battle to you. Like I said, I handle depression in the most funniest way possible. It's quite interesting. Like I like to tell people uncomfortably how I had 3 times more therapists than lovers. Like if you look at it, depression looks pretty simple, right? From the outside, deep feelings of sadness, an inability to get out of bed, a conviction that everything is worthless and you don't deserve anything. It's pretty easy to figure out, right? But you're wrong. Depression gets into parts of your life. It gets into part of your head that you didn't even think could be affected. Crying in the grocery aisle because the potatoes are not in shape. Being secretly happy about the fact that not everyone in the world are happy enough. Dude, these are just weird symptoms of depression. It's both daft. I'm not even kidding. And if you have like a good sense of humor, it's pretty funny also. Like the one way I dealt with depression is that I made in a sense of humor, or humor about my condition. I got through it that way. It's a lot easier to confront your emotions or your irrational thinking if you think of it as on one level kind of silly. For example, one of the ways in which I dealt with it was symbolic modeling. Symbolic modeling. Uh, like I assume that these horrible, punishing thoughts don't come from me, but they come from a snake living in my head, who I affectionately call Rajesh because I hate that name. So whenever it's been particularly vicious, I ask him to just shut up. Get my point? That's how I dealt with it in one way. See, I'm not making light of a serious situation. Depression is not frivolous. It's quite serious. But a depressed life can give you some pretty, blackly humorous situations. And that sometimes helps you, because even if you're even when the things around you are quite terrible, at least your life's still kind of funny. You know what I mean? One of the weirdest thing, let me tell you, one of the weirdest thing about depression is the fact that you just begin to believe that happy people are pretending to annoy you. We tend to end up believing that these people are faking it just to annoy us. You know, weirdly enough, 90% of depressed people suffer from huge impairments in assessing the facial expressions of others. We can't actually detect subtle signs on the faces of other people, which is obviously a problem because we start to isolate ourselves from them because we feel like they're just faking it. We start hating humans at the end of the day. Now I'm going to talk about one of the most charming part of a depressive episode, which is self blame. Um, the bath overflowed. The stock markets are down. There's no electricity. Oh my god, I must have done something terrible. I should probably go to the garden and dig my head into the sand. This also means apologizing for everything. I was just exaggerating, but yeah, this also means apologizing for everything. You're very apologetic, even when it's not your fault, which seriously confuses people or just makes them think that you're dumb and you're stupid. All right. Also, uh, this is the most funniest part. See, many depressive people discover, including me, that the simplest domestic tasks suddenly look utterly impossible. Like, for example, this is how a conversation between a normal person and his mind looks like. For example, he wants to get dressed, so he's talking to his mind. Okay, mind, I want to get dressed. So the mind replies, okay, come on, let's head out. Pick up a dress. You put on the clothes and let's just head out and party or whatever. Okay, this is how the conversation looks like. So I'm gonna tell you how a conversation between a depressed me and my mind looks like also. So I tell my mind, I want to get dressed, and my mind replies, are you insane? You have to get undressed again, you fool. Yeah, this happened to me, dude, all the time. I went through a miserable period. It was quite dark, but it was quite humorous when I think about it now. Also, I'm sure most of y'all have heard about this thing called Linkin Park. I'm sure most of you are crazy about Linkin Park. I was too. But let me tell you, full depressive period means avoiding Linkin Park like the corona. You can protect yourself from corona by wearing a mask, but in order to protect yourself from Linkin Park, you should just stop listening to it. You have to forget the fact that Linkin Park ever existed. Because otherwise, the ridiculous lyrics will start to sound vaguely sensible, and that is frankly not a place in which any of us needs to live, dude. And also stop watching documentaries about terrible things happening to innocent animals. It's gonna put you in another dark phase. I'm not even kidding. And yeah, there's another interesting thing that happened to me when I was depressed. I have to share this with you. It's quite interesting. I'm not sure if people can relate to me with this, but then yeah, this happened to me. One day I was crying. I was depressed. I could not get out of my bed because I felt like I was so sad. I was disappointed about the fact that I did not win a Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not even exaggerating this. I have a habit of exaggerating, but I'm not even exaggerating about this. I was literally worried that I haven't won a Nobel Prize yet for peace. Honestly, I was surrounded with people who used to get involved in all these social services, and they used to post pictures on Instagram. All right. And I used to feel so bad. I was like, why am I not being able to do this? I deserve it, like literally. And there was another friend of mine who called me up and she said that she was volunteering for underprivileged children and cancer patients. And she also posted a picture on Instagram where I saw that she had flawless skin. She was maintaining good, healthy skin also. Bro, I'll tell you, on bad days, I can barely wash my clothes. I don't even know how these people used to do it. Like, how they used to push themselves together and do something so noble. and kind and generous. I used to hate people, dude. Anyways, these were just the few weird symptoms that I came across when I was depressed. It was quite funny, dude. That was one of the ways that I got through it. It actually helped me to an extent to keep a calm and composed mind, but it still got the worst of me. But anyways, as a side note, I would like to say another thing, that one of the most dangerous stigma that our country is battling with right now is the fact that people find it hard to accept the fact that funny people could be depressed too. you know a lot of the funniest people we know are often depressed. I'm not saying everyone, but few of them are depressed. Personally, having previously been in a dark place, I really go out of my way to make sure people are being looked after and are having a good time, because having a bad time is the worst. I'm not saying all funny people are probably dead inside, but maybe take a minute for your friends who seem so funny, they that you would think that they couldn't possibly be miserable. But what can you do about it? See, I'm not Narendra Modi ji. So when I am talking, please read all the parts of it. Okay, you understand what I'm trying to say? Don't start by telling your friends that you are sick of their jokes and you want to see them cry. Don't fall from the Christmas tree, for God's sake, but maybe show them some extra support. You could possibly chuck out a few texts asking if they are all right. For starters, see, let me tell you, humor does not mean the same thing as happiness, because clowns have always been a little sad, right? So it's not a laughing matter always. So stay healthy, physically, emotionally, mentally, because drinking water does not always help, and it's not always gas trouble. So try speaking with your mind. Try to understand what your problem is. Don't get carried away by your daily routines. Just take some time off for yourself. Try to speak to your mind. Try to speak to your organs. Understand what you need, because it helps a lot. So I think it's time to wrap up this episode of my, show. I don't even know what to call it anymore. Yeah, show. So yeah, it's time to wrap up my show. So I'll see you next Saturday with another interesting topic. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.